Hello, welcome to Gurukul's CAT 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady. This is your passage for today, and in case you want to take this up as a test, then all you've got to do is go on to www.thegurukul.org.in and sign up for the 100 days to CAT test series. Now this is a free test series with video solutions just for you so that you can stay consistent with your QA, LRDI and verb level T practice for the CAT 2025 and crack it in your first attempt. So without any further ado, let's get into the passage and questions. So this is your first paragraph. Please read it, jot down all the main points, and then we're going to go into the second paragraph. This is your second paragraph. Pause the video here, jot down all the main points, and then we're going to go into the third paragraph. This is your third paragraph. Pause the video here, jot down all the main points, and then we'll go into the questions. This is your question number 1. Pause the video here, answer the question, and then we're going to go into the second question. This is your question number 2. Pause the video here, answer the question, and then we're going to go into the third question. This is your question number 3. Pause the video here, answer the question, and then we're going to go into the last question of this passage. This is your question number 4. Last question of the passage, guys. Pause the video here, answer the question, and then we'll go into the passage and question explanations. What does the passage really talk about? It says it was the morning of 11th May 1857. The city of Delhi had not yet woken up when a band of sepoys. Now what is this word sepoys? Sepoys means soldiers. Okay, a band of soldiers from Meerut. Meerut is a city who had defied and killed the European officers on the previous day, crossed the Jamuna. Jamuna is again a river, guys. Set the toll house on fire and marched to the Red Fort. So by this we can understand that this is a very narrative passage. This talking about some kind of a story, right? Okay, so they entered. Who is this they? They are the sepoys. So they entered the Red Fort through the Rajghat, followed by an excited crowd to appeal to Bahadur Shah II, the Mughal emperor, a pensioner of the British East India Company who had possessed nothing but the name of the mighty Mughals, to become their leader, thus give legitimacy to their cause. So what happened? These soldiers, they came all the way to Delhi to ask Bahadur Shah II to be their leader. But was Bahadur Shah really powerful? No, he just was an empty shell who carried the name of the Mughals. Okay, but why did they ask for the support of Bahadur Shah in that case? They asked for the support of Bahadur Shah for one very simple reason, because it could give legitimacy to their cause. So Bahadur Shah vacillated as he was neither sure of the intentions of the sepoys nor of his own ability to play an effective role. So vacillated means wavered. Okay, wavered means alternated between choices. Why was he not sure? Because he was not sure of what the intentions of the soldiers were, neither was he sure of his own capabilities, whether he could actually lead that crowd to victory or not. Okay, so he was however persuaded, that means he was motivated, if not coerced, that means there was some form of pressure also put on him to give in, and was proclaimed Shahenshah-e-Hindustan, that means the king of India. The sepoys then set out to capture and control the imperial city of Delhi. So with Bahadur Shah II on their side, the sepoys, the soldiers, went on to capture Delhi. Simon Fraser, the political agent, and several other Englishmen were killed. The public offices were either occupied or destroyed. The revolt of an unsuccessful but heroic effort to eliminate foreign rule had begun. So, in 1857, what do I understand from this entire passage? In 1857, some soldiers, they had actually gone forward and they had, killed a bunch of white people, a bunch of English people, and they had convinced Bahadur Shah II to be on their side as the leader of India, as the Shahenshah or a Hindustan, to lead them towards a complete freedom. Okay, but see, the very important part over here is this last line. Okay, the revolt of an unsuccessful but heroic effort. That means this effort was not completely successful in 1857, but it was very, very heroic. Okay, why? Because it eliminated foreign rule. It started the elimination of foreign rule and it had just begun. Okay, so let's go into the second paragraph now, guys. The capture of Delhi and the proclamation of Bahadur Shah as the Emperor of Hindustan gave a positive political meaning to the revolt and provided a rallying point for rebels by recalling the past glory of the imperial city. So what does that mean? When Bahadur Shah II was brought on as the leader, okay, of India, that gave some kind of a positive influence. Okay, there was some positive political meaning to it. Why? Because this actually provided a rallying point, some kind of a point, some commonality for people to get together. Okay. And they started recalling the past glory, okay, how glorious, how beautiful the olden Delhi really was. Okay, so the revolt at Meerut and the capture of Delhi was the precursor to a widespread mutiny by the sepoys in rebellion almost all over North India as well as Central and Western India. Southern India remained quiet, and Punjab and Bengal were only marginally affected, okay, less. In this context, you can just take it as less. Okay, so what do I understand from here? Now, this revolt at Meerut, okay, this started a widespread rebellion, and in this rebellion, North, Central and West India was completely occupied. They were completely in the rebellion. However, Southern India was not so involved. Punjab and Bengal were also very less affected. Okay. Almost half of the company's sepoy strength of 2,32,224 opted out of their loyalty. Again, guys, for this, these numbers really don't matter. Okay. So almost half of the company's strength opted out of their loyalty to the regimental colors. Over here, regimental colors is a quick reference to the British people. Okay, right, and overcame the ideology of army, meticulously constructed over a period of time through training and discipline. Even before the Meerut incident, there were rumblings of resentment in various cantonments. So in various groups, there was already disagreement. So some sort of resentment was there, because of which this actually went through. Okay, so a lot of people left the army, left the British side, and they had come back. Okay, so let's go to the third paragraph now. The 19th Native Infantry at 2, India's struggle for independence, Berhampur, which refused to use the newly introduced Enfield rifle, was disbanded in 1857 March. Okay, so there was one particular cantonment, one particular regiment which said that they won't use the newly introduced rifle, and they were disbanded. That means they were no longer a part of the rifle, of that group, right? So a young sepoy of the 34th Native Infantry, another regiment, another troop basically, okay, Mangal Pandey went a step further and fired at the sergeant major of his regiment. So he fired a shot, he fired a bullet at one of the higher ups in that regiment. Okay, so he was overpowered and executed, and his regiment too was disbanded. So what happened? People caught him, they executed, that means they killed him, and that regiment, that group also was disbanded. That means they were no longer functional anymore. The 7th Oud regiment, which defied its officers, met with a similar fate. That means the 7th Oud regiment also was disbanded. Okay, within a month of capture of the Delhi, the revolt spread to different parts of the country: Kanpur, Lucknow, Benares, Allahabad, Bareilly, Pur and Jhansi. So this rebellion basically spread around in the entire nation, most of the parts of these nations, these parts of the nations. Okay, so the rebel activity was marked by intense anti-British feelings, and the administration was invariably toppled. That means what? So this rebellion, this had a lot of anti-British feelings, that we are not welcoming Britishers anymore, and the administration, that means the British administration, was toppled. Toppled means it was thrown down. Okay, in the absence of any leaders from their own ranks, the insurgents turned to the traditional leaders of Indian society, the territorial aristocrats and feudal chiefs who had suffered at the hands of the British. So because there was no actual leader present amongst these sepoys, amongst these rebels, okay, they actually tied up, they got, together with and cahoots with the people who were the territorial aristocrats, that means the noble people, okay, who suffered at the hands of the Britishers. So the Indian nobles who also suffered at the hands of the Britishers, these people joined hands with. That's all for the passage, guys. So before we go ahead into discussing the answers, please type down your answers so that we can cross-check how many answers you've gotten correct. If there's any doubts with the passage, please mention that in the comments. And if you've stayed till here, please drop a like here. That motivates us to keep getting videos like this for you. So the question number 1. Passage states that the capture of Delhi and proclamation of Bahadur Shah II as emperor gave a positive political meaning to the revolt and provided a rallying point. Okay, great. So this is a text that's there from the passage. All right. So which of the following best explains why this act was so significant? So why was bringing Bahadur Shah II so significant as their leader? Okay. So it secured an immediate military aid and strategic resources from the Mughal emperor. See, nowhere in the passage has it been told that this Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah II gave any military aid or resources, right? In fact, he was not even sure if he could lead these sepoys properly, right? So this is a completely out of scope choice, and hence it can be eliminated. It instantly united all diverse rebel factions under a centralized effective leadership. See, first of all, there was no centralized effective leadership, although there was a symbolic leadership of Mr. Bahadur Shah II. Second thing, all diverse rebel factions, there were some parts of India that was not really, in the rebellion altogether, right? So obviously I can take this part off as well. It provided a powerful symbolic legitimacy and historical narrative to their uprising. Yes, they said that there's been, this guy, Bahadur Shah II, although he was not someone who could actually lead, he gave some kind of a symbolic narrative, and people could think of the good old days, how Delhi was and all. So this actually could be one of our proper answers. Next one, it ensured widespread participation from South India, Punjab and Bengal. So obviously these are the three areas that were mentioned in the passage that did not participate so much, correct? So obviously this is nothing but an opposite answer for us. Okay, so we can clearly remove this. Now the best possible answer for us becomes C. So question number 2. Based on the Sepoys' appeal to Bahadur Shah II and their subsequent actions in Delhi, what can be inferred about the initial understanding of power and governance? So what can I understand about the power and governance, okay, after the Sepoys' appeal to Bahadur Shah II? Okay, so they sought to establish a modern centralized administrative structure under British supervision. Now, the whole point is they wanted to throw away the Britishers, right? So obviously this under British supervision is not going to be the correct answer, right? So this is irrelevant. I'm going to take this out. They aim for a complete overhaul of the existing social and political hierarchies. Now again, they just wanted to throw away the Britishers. They did not think anything about the existing social hierarchies as far as it's given in the passage. So this cannot be my correct answer. Okay, they desired to dismantle the concept of imperial authority and establish a republic. See, this first part of the answer is very, very nice. I would agree with it. But where did he say that they wanted to establish a republic? This could be their motive. This may be their motive. I don't know. I was 1857 year. But as far as the passage is concerned, they had not told us about this particular thing, right? So obviously, this should not be my answer. This is a little out of scope. They recognize the need for a traditional symbolic head to validate their anti-colonial struggle. Now, exactly what Bahadur Shah II had offered. Okay, so they needed Bahadur Shah II, who was a traditional ruler, okay, as a symbolic head, okay, someone who was just there on the top, just for the sake of having some kind of a leader. Okay, obviously he was not leading any of these people, just to validate their anti-colonial. That means this colonialism is nothing but anti-British, okay, struggle. So this option fits the best. So our best answer should be answer D. Now let's go to the third question. Which of the following statements accurately reflects the geographical spread and impact of the revolt of 1857 as described in the passage? So where all was there, revolt in India as far as the passage is concerned? That's what he's asking about. The rebellion was widespread across all of India, including South, Punjab and Bengal. Obviously, this is an opposite answer. Okay, he clearly said that this was not really involved, this bloc was not really involved. The mutiny was largely confined to military cantonments in the north and central India. Great, with no significant civilian participation. No. Again, till here it was good, okay, but when he says no significant civilian participation, there were a lot of people who were also excited and who joined, right after the Delhi mutiny. So this should be wrong. The revolt primarily affected north, central and western India with limited impact on the other major regions. Yes, this so far is a good answer because this is what exactly happened in the passage. Now D, the rebellion was strongest in the areas where Enfield rifle was widely introduced, leading to widespread unified defiance. Again, this is a different part of the passage. This whole question comes from a different part of the passage. This is a very, very sub part of the idea that happened in the revolt of 1857. So this was a very partial scope choice and hence it does not completely reflect what is happening in the passage. So I'm going to remove this and the best possible answer is going to be C. Now let's go for the last question of this passage, guys. The fourth question. How does the author characterize the revolt of 1857 in its immediate aftermath and overall historical significance? So as soon as the 1857 revolt happened, how was that looked at? Okay, clearly, if we are looking at A as an untimely, ultimately unsuccessful but valorous. Valorous is nothing but courageous. Okay, courageous attempt to overthrow the colonial dominance, that means British dominance, providing a political focal point so everyone could come together. Obviously, this is one of the perfect answers. Now you might ask me, where is it given that it's unsuccessful? But if you look at the first paragraph towards the end, we had discussed that this is a very important point, right? The revolt of an unsuccessful but heroic, that means valorous. This word is a synonym to valorous. Okay. So I can definitely take A as my answer, but let's just look at the other options as well. Okay, as a spontaneous eruption of anger, definitely this was not a spontaneous eruption of anger. He's clearly told me in the passage that even before this whole thing happened, there were still revolts, there was still some kind of a rebellion and resentment, right? Okay, as a futile uprising that lacked clear objectives and widespread popular support, no. It did not lack widespread popular support. There was a widespread popular support. So definitely I cannot take C as an answer. D, as a meticulously planned and strategically executed movement to restore the Mughal rule across India. Yeah, where did they even try to, get back the Mughal rule? They just used the Mughal, they just used that Bahadur Shah II as a symbolic figurehead, right? So obviously this is not going to be my answer. The best possible answer is A, and that should be our correct answer. Now that if you have stayed still here, please drop a like because that motivates us to get new videos like this every day for you. Share this video with a friend who's also preparing for CAT 2025 and comment if you have any doubts whatsoever in the passage. We'll get back to you and I'll see you in the next one.
Hope you enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, study room to boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.